Welcome to the Lawyer Stories podcast with Benny Gold in partnership with our friends at Supio. Supio is superior AI for your entire case life cycle for plaintiff lawyers. We're very excited to be here on the road again in Chicago at the AAJ. You're running the community law firm for the injured.
Right.
Communities law firm. Why is community so important to you?
Lawyers are stakeholders. It used to be in the 80s that we had a stakeholder mentality where we thought that we, as business owners and in the legal community, were a part of the framework in society. That changed with shareholder maximization and the focus on the individual and profits. And so we want to take it back to where it should be.
I love it.
That we build the community, that the legal system is a part of it, and it's not only a patriotic duty or a professional duty, but it's a civic duty for lawyers to give back. So.
That's a great answer. So, like, when did you know, Chad, that you wanted to be a lawyer?
I didn't know till I was in my 20s.
Okay.
But I was groomed along the way.
You were groomed. So, like, was there a moment, or was there something you watched on TV, or did you see something out there that really kind of intrigued you?
There wasn't a moment. It was a culmination of many moments and many good examples and role models who are talented lawyers.
Okay. So why personal injury?
Because personal injury aligns the law, and I guess we'll call it doing well, with the notion of doing good. And so what we do is we take bets on cases to help the clients that we represent, and when we do well, society does better. And so let's say we have a catastrophic case, and we win, I don't know how much in the case. By doing well on the case, we have theoretically improved society, and we've aligned profits with a better society.
Gotcha. What do you think separates the elite trial lawyers from everybody else?
I think you got to love your client.
Okay.
And I think you need to take your duty as a lawyer very seriously. You need to be willing to put yourself on the line within the law, within your ethics, and within your own internal value system. You need to work incredibly long hours.
Right.
You need to continue to think outside of the box, spend time going through the documents, speaking to the witnesses. The case is not a thing until you make the case a thing.
Interesting. I like that.
You have to find the case. You can't just depend on the case to come to you.
So what do you think is considered like really good preparation? What does that look like?
Well, sometimes it changes with every case. Sometimes it looks like going to a scene 10 times to figure out what really happened.
Right.
In let's say a road defect case. Other times it looks like if you've got to cross-examine an expert, going to the library and reading the literature and double-checking the citations. Other times it looks like determining what word you're going to use in a specific cross-examination to get a specific response.
Wow.
So there's no one-size-fits-all analysis, so that, we get paid for result and on efficiency, right?
Yeah.
And even if we got paid by the hour, we still have an ethical duty to bill reasonably if we were defense lawyers.
Right.
And so if you have this technology that is better, faster, cheaper, then you almost have to use it as long as it has the appropriate guardrails in place.
Right. You almost have to use it.
Yeah, the standard of care has shifted. Think of it this way.
Yeah.
In the 70s and 80s, the standard of care used to be that you didn't have to use a computer. And then computers came along, and the standard of care now is that everybody has to have a computer all the time. So that's what AI is.
That's interesting. So do you think the standard of care has got to the point where you need to use like an AI system to put from the beginning to put your documents together? And
if it hasn't already, it will.
That's interesting.
Give it 2 years.
Give it 2 years. Wow.
So then the question,
I love that. You're one step ahead, man.
Are our state bar associations embracing AI in a way that adds consumer value? Right?
Yeah.
Or are they stuck in this draconian system that has no appropriate context behind the technology?
Love that word, draconian. And it's very important. Like, I know Supio, like right from the beginning, you don't want to enter. The later you get in on a case using AI, the more apt you are to have mistakes, right? So the data shows, based on this report that they did with 207, legal professionals, that if you start early on, you're less likely to have mistakes because you might manually end up entering mistakes, and then it compiles the data from there. So that I love what you're thinking, man. You're like a step ahead of everybody with the standard of care stuff. So, like, how would you think an attorney like yourself can balance your advocacy for your clients, your community, with AI?
Well, you've got to incorporate it to deliver value in a protected way at every stage. And indeed, as our clients get younger, that expectation will be there.
Yep.
And so now speed is the norm.
Right.
Speed used to be the competitive space.
Right.
Now we assume that everybody can
wants
do
things
quick.
like this. Yeah.
And so if we don't begin with that as a baseline, we find ourselves not being as competitive in the marketplace.
After transitioning out of my nonprofit role, I decided to dedicate my career full-time to educating the legal profession about trauma, about our wellness and well-being, how trauma impacts us. And then I also do expert witness work in cases involving...
expert witnesses. Wow. So do law firms approach you to hire you? And what kind of law firms are coming to you to seek your guidance?
All kinds of law firms. So, I mean, big defense firms, plaintiffs firms. I do... I currently am working to train an entire multi-district litigation on trauma.
Wow.
In cases, especially, the kinds of cases that the folks at this conference work on are things like, institutional child abuse, sexual assault cases, mass litigations and individual cases where people have suffered really severe trauma. So we have to understand what that actually looks like in our cases, what the case strategy is like, and also lawyers suffer from secondary trauma because of the work that we do with our clients. And so how do we sustain ourselves in this work?
So what's like the one thing that you feel like law firms, when you go in there to train somebody, like what's the one thing that they're missing? Like that they don't know about that you really have to kind of focus on?
It's hard to pin down.
Yeah.
Because we just don't have this education, but it's honestly is just what is trauma and what is the impact of trauma? Meaning I'll give you a concrete example.
Yeah.
There's many, but trauma impacts our memory. If you experience a trauma, the memories related to that trauma are not actually saved in your memory the same way that a non-traumatic memory is. So when we have a client who's then deposed and testifies, they may not remember really important things about what happened to them. And the other side is going to say, well, how could you not remember this? Right. You're saying this is so traumatic, this terrible thing happened to you. Why don't you remember it?
Right.
Well, the answer is because it was traumatic. Your brain didn't save that memory in the same way. And so if we can understand trauma, we can actually corroborate our clients' stories.
What about people having to, people who've gone through trauma, having to hear things again? Is that a piece of it too? Like having to sit on the stand and kind of, hear the awful things that have happened to them again?
Absolutely. And that's another thing that we talk about is the legal process is extremely re-traumatizing to survivors. And so how do we help walk alongside our clients through the legal process without, we know they're going to get re-traumatized. I can't say without re-traumatizing them, but how do we reduce the risk of harm within the legal system?
Got you. You have to tell me then, if you had all these jobs, when were you like, I'm going to law school?
At his lowest.
At my lowest.
Yeah, when
lost
he came
my
crashing
mind.
down.
Yeah.
I wanted to take my own life.
Yeah.
I was in a very bad spot. My mom had died, and she was my only connection that was genuinely to my childhood and my history.
Yep.
And then September 11th happened.
Mm-hmm.
And I was in New York City when all of this happened. And I felt untethered.
And he's Mohammed.
And, I was untethered. I was pretty disconnected, and I lost my mind. And they didn't put me in a regular hospital. They put me in a geriatrics ward of the hospital because I was not on drugs. I wasn't drinking. And so what they did was I met the most wonderful elderly people who had cognitive issues, mental health issues, and they taught me lessons about life. They said, you know what? Stop focusing on yourself. Focus on others. Your life is not that important. Okay? And just go out and make some simple decisions. And from there, I just got out and I just started making decisions. And ultimately, I realized, I think the best thing for me is to focus on other people and less on myself.
Yeah.
And the law, provides a really good avenue to do that.
But can I tell you one story about him?
Yes.
I think that he knew somewhere in his mind that the law was important because when he was 16 years old, his mother was dying, and he collected all of her medical records and took them to a law firm for failure to diagnose. Can you imagine a 16-year-old kid? I don't know if he rode the bus or rode his bicycle, but he gets over to the law firm, and they sit down, and they basically just completely looked past him.
Yeah, well,
And he slunk on out. But what kid would ever do that? Organize it,
amazing.
and I think there was something about that always stayed with him.
Yeah.
And he didn't not want to be that kind of a person. And he's never been that kind of a person.
Do you feel like when you see medical records now, does that bring you back to that?
I mean, every time I see somebody's life, I'm like thinking about,
Yeah.
I see them in that space going through what they're going,
Empathetic.
Yeah.
I
And it's kind of crazy, like when you say that. I mean, of course, because you talk about medical records, I think about how easy it could have been just to like put it in an AI thing and like have
They
them
didn't give
tell
the
you
time
like
of day.
whether or not like you'd have a case or not.
They
You know
would have
what I
had to
mean?
look through he had the binders, he had them all indexed. They would have had to
That's
just look at them
unbelievable.
and
So
they
what?
did-
They just dismissed you?
No, what happened was my mom died of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma.
Wow.
And what happened was that they misdiagnosed her, so she was sick for a long time from when I was like 14 on, and so I just gotten my driver's license, and I drove to the law firm, and I brought into her records, and they sat there, and I had like basketball shorts on and a
Right.
shirt. And I just wanted somebody to help me understand like what the hell happened, and they could not explain it to me.
Wow.
And they kind of dismissed me. But when you talk about like looking at medical records, you look at a medical record and you see like a typewritten entry, patient 41, dizzy and things like that. That's a human being that's in that state talking to somebody saying, I don't feel too well. I'm dizzy. I don't know what's going on. I haven't slept for days. And someone is typing that in. When I read, I see and feel it.
You see the people.
I see and feel it
Wow.
out of the page
Yeah.
at the time. But
Yeah.
that I experienced.
Our whole subject for that retreat was change.
Yeah.
And embracing change, because we knew that nobody wants to deal with all the change that's coming in the technological revolution.
Right.
And when you come into the hall like this and there's all this AI, people just want something that they can plug and go, but that's not what you can do. You really have to understand it.
Okay.
You have to really, and so that's what we do. Is we're really there's a lot of usage in the firm.
Yeah.
From everybody. There is you don't get a pass. Everybody has to do it and be involved, learn about it. And the culture, I think, is really positive in our firm. Everybody is sharing, like, I learned how to do this one. Oh, you can try this one. It happens constantly like that. So we are eager for AI. We're also wary of its misuse.
Right. There is some misuse. Like, what's one thing you would never give AI to do from your practice?
Yeah.
Legal research.
Research.
Yeah.
Okay.
I use Westlaw.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
Westlaw has some AI capacity to it. But you don't
Well,
want
do you know?
like,
Do you know Supio has a exclusive partnership, I think, with Thomson Reuters now?
No, that's great.
I heard.
So
I heard that's one of the
huge because, like, when I hear Thomson Reuters, I mean, I'm a law student. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm a lawyer. You hear that and you're like, wow, that's pretty good,
Yeah.
right? So
I won't allow it to just do the visuals.
right,
It can't do visuals still very well. The last trial I was in, it was phenomenal because I was telling a story, making an analogy, and I needed some visuals for my PowerPoint, and it worked with me all through the night. And I tweaked them, but they weren't the actual person. If you want the actual person, their actual face, anything other than a story kind of analogy thing,
Yeah.
I won't use it because it changes something all the time. But I think it's going to get there.
yeah,
But right now, the visuals we cannot trust.
here's to think about AI. Okay, here's the way I think about it. AI is very effective at finding patterns. And then it looks at those patterns and then it builds on them. And
right,
about patterns. But what AI cannot do is AI cannot speak the language. What do I mean by that? You don't speak Farsi, that's my mother language. But if I gave you a set of rules.
Wait, can you speak something in Farsi?
Salam, hala shoma chatora, khub hastin.
all right,
Okay, so that's
See? Good.
if I hand you a bunch of like dialect from Iran,
right,
and I give you a set of rules about how to apply them, and you take them and you apply them and you give them back to me,
Right.
and then I keep giving you
Yes,
more rules,
yes.
you'll be able to apply.
You have
rules,
to do that,
but you're
right.
not speaking Farsi,
right,
So if you understand AI from that perspective, you'll understand its strength. So what I use AI for is I say, here's what I have. Where are my gaps in the pattern, in the thinking,
right.
in the logic? And it'll speak back to me. It goes, you have gaps here, you have gaps here, you have gaps
Interesting.
here. Rather than asking it to do something for me that I can do myself more I'd ask it to do and tell me what is it that's missing from the app. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
But really, where we've had a lot of success already is whenever we're posting on social media consistently and partners are sharing that, like our cases are going through the roof just because
Really?
people are excited for us. Like we're, posting about being a new firm, posting about these new opportunities, posting about the success we had individually and how we're doing together. And that's resonated with people. And so we've signed, we've had a really good start to the firm on the amount of cases
And
we've
just
signed.
real.
doing
And I
that.
think another
So,
thing to your content is like you're real.
100%.
You're not always out there saying, "Hey, look at me, like I've done this, I've done that." You share your wins. You should share a loss or something that was challenging too. I mean, that makes you a human, and I think that's that's sort of like levels things out a little bit. So, tell me how your firm has adopted AI. Like, are you guys using it currently?
Yeah, we're big on AI.
Okay.
So the way I look at it is, and I will tell you, and I hope I don't get in trouble, but the one thing I don't like about AI is I don't like AI like voice agent type stuff.
For what?
Like voice agents
Okay,
type stuff.
all right.
Because I've always gotten frustrated whenever I can't get a live person on the phone, right?
Yes.
So the way that we're looking at it on the AI is I'm trying to automate every single document function that's a basic document.
Wow.
Right? So I have like auto agents type deal. And so essentially I am able to, I've got stuff set up where we're really specific on how we put the document titled. And so our AI knows, okay, boom, I have a title that like discovery came in, right?
Yeah.
It automatically starts drafting a response for us.
Yeah.
One that comes in that's the answer from the defendant. Boom, they go ahead and draft a motion to enter for us, right? A new case gets put in. Boom, it automatically starts doing the letters of rep to the insurance companies. So that's the stuff I'm trying to do is just automate as much as humanly possible on our drafting. I tell my paralegals, I'm like, in my ideal world, you wouldn't have to touch a document ever again, and your whole
That's
job
crazy.
would just be talking to clients and making
Probably makes them a little bit nervous.
Well, but I know, because I don't think you can take the human component away.
Yeah.
I want you to make sure that our clients feel seen, heard.
Yes.
They know we
That's good.
care.
Yeah.
You're in their corner. We know what's going on with their case. And so the
Yeah,
way I look at it is that's what AI does.
They could just keep touching the file,
100%.
checking in on them every week, whatever it is, whatever your system is. So
100%.
So Supio did a report in 2026 by a third-party vendor, and it said that nearly 8 in 10 firms have tried AI, but only 3 in 10 use it consistently. So obviously, I think you're in like the 8 out of 10, or the 3 in 10 that use it. Actually,
Yeah.
sorry, but there's a gap. There's a gap between people who try it, and I think it comes down to trust, right? So you need systems that you can trust. Systems that have guardrails, systems that, because of the sensitive information that you plug into it. So, like, what's one way an attorney can ensure themselves to have, the best system available for doing all of those things?
Yeah, I think it's just about having systems and processes in with your team.
Yeah.
And then being able to check it. So, like for me right now, right, I'm trying to work a bunch of cases and implement systems and build this stuff out and
Right.
so that's the thing, is that once we get these 2 new associates that we have coming on, once they come on, what's going to be really cool is that I'm going to spend a day where I'm working with them on files every week, and I'm going through them, I'm teaching them, I'm doing, like, they're getting me hands-on stuff. But then the rest of the week, I'm going to be able to spend on a few of the cases that I'm still going to keep, but also actually running a business and working on the business, not in the business.
Well, that's
which is important.
That's fun, man. I think you're good at that.
I
too.
think you have to have someone who is doing that, that's looking at the big picture, that's looking at, okay, you're not going through and you're not looking at every single like nitpicky thing on like a file, but you're looking at, okay, out of those 10 files, they all have been already open. They're all already on our case management software, and just make sure that everything's going that design the way you want it. Yeah, I think it's important to have that person.
So you don't have to name any names. Do you have an existing system that you use, or is it just kind of like you're using ChatGPT or like whatever or
a little combination of it.
Yeah, okay, all right.
So
that's good. All right. So anything else you want to share about AI, or anything you want to give, any advice to the lawyer stories community out there?
I saw a great quote, and basically the quote is that AI is not going to replace lawyers, but it will replace lawyers who don't embrace it. There's going to be lawyers that come in, embrace it, put it in their practice, and they're going to absolutely thrive because they did that. It's kind of the same thing. Like, you don't see a ton of like successful lawyers that still have like a AOL email, use dial-up internet, and
I
don't
do
have
see
their
the-
email on their phone, right?
I do see the AOL email, and after that, you see that AOL email. You look at what the name is. It could be like Foxy Lady 22 at AOL or something.
But it's like if it's just kind of part of adapting and adopting. So, but I think that the firms that really do it are gonna explode as a byproduct for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Well, knowledgeable Rilee Harrison, man. Thanks for coming on today. But so basically, the newest report suggested that the debate isn't whether firms should use AI anymore. It's where it fits in the case life cycle. And what surprised you most about that research?
Yeah, so we wanted to understand how are firms using AI, and what we found is 80% of the respondents actually have bought AI, but only 30% are integrating it into their workflow.
Right.
And the reason being, because I thought maybe it was technology, it's not technology. They're buying it. 80% bought it.
Right.
But it's trust. They don't want to use AI they can't verify. 99% of the respondents said that they will use AI if they can verify. Because think about it, these attorneys are representing clients. They're standing up. They have to stand behind their cases and their clients.
Totally. And so there's a gap between people who are looking at it and people who are using it. And one thing I thought that was really interesting in that report is that attorneys who use it from the beginning of the life cycle of a case will see less mistakes than those who try to implement it sort of throughout the case. Because if you have one error that's human generated, it's going to compound throughout the case, right? Is that something that you've discovered too?
We like to call it win from the start.
Okay.
So if you use AI from the very beginning, from intake, and then use the AI and the case just builds on itself, and then when they're ready to go build out that case, everything has been already learned and it compounds the memory, as you mentioned.
So what do you think firms, what are the firms successfully adopting AI doing differently?
Well, first of all, they're using it across their full firm, not just in the case.
Okay.
Because one of the findings was 75% of those firms, and I have my stats here, 75% of the firms reported being beyond capacity, okay? And 57% need 1 week or longer to produce a demand letter. A week or longer.
Yeah.
So if you're using AI from the start at intake
Right.
and has all the right information, and then when you log into your console and it will say, oh, we received this record and it's missing a detail.
Right.
And then it automatically flags it to you so you don't miss something, right? So from the very start as you go to build the case. But we have a native integration with Westlaw. So that was also
Right.
found
No, I
in the
think
report.
that's actually huge. And I just mentioned that to somebody on an earlier episode that, because I asked them what would be something that you wouldn't give over to AI from your practice. And they said research. I said, well, now that Supio is integrated with Westlaw, I mean, you see Westlaw for any lawyer or, Thomson Reuters, and you're kind of like, wow, that's that kind of,
creme de la creme.
I think that's a game changer, actually. Totally.
Well, that's why then it goes to trusting, right? So verifying the source. If you have that integration with Westlaw and it helps to feed the response from the LLMs, then you can trust it.
Yeah.
You can help win from the start.
So how should firms think about implementing AI responsibly, like without sacrificing any attorney judgment?
Well, you have to implement it. You have to start using it. I was at an event 2 weeks ago, and Nasser from Phillips Law, he's like, you can use it across the firm. You can use it for marketing. You can use it to see time on desk. You can use all this analysis. You just need to start using it because the memory compounds over time and it learns you.
Okay, so that's what I lost my train of thought on, was creating the complaint. There was a table in the report that talked about how long it would take somebody who's not using an agentic AI, and then how long it would take for somebody to create that initial complaint, and it was weeks.
Well, that's what
3 weeks.
57% need 1 week or longer to produce a demand letter.
Right.
Now, with
That's huge.
Supio, you can do it in just a few minutes.
Right.
But again, the real value is not just working within the case, but it's working across the firm, across all cases, firm-wide intelligence.
Yeah.
Right. So that's something only Supio can do. It's this firm-wide intelligence. because we have connectors into your CMS. We have connectors into your email. We have connectors into your voicemail.
Yeah, I think, no, it's unbelievable.
We're the brain, if you will, right?
Yes.
You use Supio to win from the start, from intake to litigation, to maximize your benefits on an agentic AI platform with a trusted partner. Because we have
And
Westlaw,
Westlaw
right?
to boot. So, I
That's
mean,
right.
you
Yeah,
get to
exactly.
do the research with Westlaw, you know.
Totally.
And law clerk actually shared something that really stood out to me. Supio hasn't changed your standard of practice. It has changed where your team spend its time.
Yep.
Tell us a little bit about that, Paul.
Well, we have a very high standard of practice at our firm, and that should never change. Supio has allowed us, in my practice of mass tort class actions, to basically evaluate the medical records in minutes compared to days.
Okay.
So when we're evaluating whether we should take a case on, my law clerk puts the medical records
right in there.
Supio,
Yeah.
and boom, we have a summary. When we are looking at which should be bellwether cases,
Right.
we can put 150 cases in, and within a couple hours, we can pick out the best cases. So she's so right. Standards don't change, but now we can spend so much more time on other things.
It's amazing. So how did you come across Supio, by the way?
So I had joined Injury Board,
Okay.
and I was at my first conference in Big Sky, and one of the Injury Board members asked me if I knew anything about it. And first of all, I didn't know anything about AI. So they set up a meeting for me with Jerry, and Jerry didn't show up to the meeting. So
Shout out to Jerry.
So they asked me then to come to a demonstration
Yeah.
that they were doing for some of the Injury Board members that were investing.
Okay.
And I was blown away by this. I had never seen anything like this. So I went back to my partnership and I said, guys, you need to look at this. It took me a year to convince the partners to use Supio.
Okay.
They were
Wow.
so nervous
Right.
because it was so new.
Right. And not to cut you off, but like that was one of the things that was shown in this report recently where they interviewed 270 plaintiffs' lawyers.
Mhm.
The biggest thing is trust.
Yeah.
I mean, like 8 out of 10 people like looked at AI, but
Yeah.
3 out of 10 adopted in their practice. So I think trust is like the biggest thing.
There was the feeling within the lawyers and the law clerks that there's no way this is going to be more accurate than us. And then we started doing some deeper dives and finding out that humans are about 75% accurate when reviewing medical records.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
Compared to Supio,
I
which
think that's huge. I
Right.
think what you just said is like really huge. Tell me that again.
we did a deep dive
Okay.
into the accuracy of humans versus AI.
Okay.
And what we found was that humans are about 75% accurate in reviewing medical records
Okay.
versus AI, which is 90% or higher.
Okay.
And so then the big concern was from our law clerks, are we going to have a job in 2 years?
Right.
Yeah, you're going to have a job because we still need human beings.
Right.
We need to check things. You can't just rely on the AI.
Right.
So there might be something in the medical records that stands out in the summary. We're going to go check that to make sure it's 100% accurate.
I think that's so huge because the trust has always been, a lot of stuff has come out about, hey, you're citing the wrong case,
Yes.
or this case doesn't exist, and we could always shepherdize cases. I mean,
Yep.
no matter what it's doing, the process is always more efficient. And now, a lot of people have time to like you said, like our first question lent to like, what are you doing now? Like you have time to go in and touch the files in a different way and talk to your clients.
That's right.
So instead of searching through thousands of pages of records, you're now spending more time on strategy. How has that changed your practice?
Well, it has allowed me to now work with my junior associates in mentoring them on strategy and skill development much more than I would have before, because they would have been spending hours just going through medical records and learning the file. Now they can get the summary once we know it's pretty well accurate, learn it much quicker because it's condensed, and now we can talk about how are we going to cross-examine this person? How are we going to do a direct examination? is this the best person for this case? Is this the right person for a bellwether case?
So your firm has embraced trial technology for years.
Yep.
Like, how has it changed in the courtroom?
So our firm has always been a leader, actually, in trial technology, not only in Wisconsin but just generally in the U.S. Like I honestly think our firm was likely the first firm to go paperless. If you tell you
Really? How long ago did you do that?
Oh my, over 25 years ago.
Okay.
I
Are you serious? 25 years ago?
20 years ago.
That's amazing.
So yeah, we had our own case management system that was built out. We went completely paperless. Well, no, I mean, look, I started at the firm 21 years ago, 22 years ago, and we were paperless.
Yeah.
And it was years before that they converted to paperless.
Right.
So we've always been on the cutting edge. Trial wise, we present all our cases using iPads.
Really?
And
Is it weird not to walk into court like without? I was just talking to another guest. Like, is it weird just walking into court with like a laptop and not having like or an iPad and not having like a file?
it's
like,
nice. What do you mean? It's
yeah.
weird.
No,
No, it feels
man.
good.
Like, I just think so. Like the same thing. Like when I was in law school, when I was in the stacks, like
Yes.
late at night, you're looking at books. Like they didn't. I mean, I was back in the time
Yeah.
when they didn't let you like go on Lexis until the second semester. I think I was the last year that they probably did that.
Yep.
Lexis or Westlaw.
And that's actually what Supio kind of came to the top.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's amazing. You know what's really cool too is Supio's like, a lot of people talk about legal research, right? Legal research, like have your cases cited, make sure they're valid cases, make sure they're in your jurisdiction, make sure they have a partnership with Westlaw, like a legit partnership. And I think for a lot of lawyers, like, that's seeing like the Westlaw name, like associated with a legal tech brand I think that's huge.
So let me tell you this, and I won't bring up specific competitors, but when we were reviewing, comparing,
Yep.
Getting demos done of different, Supio versus competitor.
Yeah.
It literally felt like, I mean, I'm going to date myself here, but if you remember, like VHS versus Beta.
Hell
right?
yeah.
Like which one's going to be VHS and which one's going to be Beta. But I can tell you when we made the choice, because we said, we think Supio is superior.
Yeah.
Let's go Supio.
Yeah.
And then since that date, it's just been like, it's gotten better.
Totally.
Relationship with Westlaw, gotten better.
Yeah.
They released 2.0 with the agents, gotten better. It's just like, we feel very confident in the decision that we made.
Well, that's good. And, they just came out with a report where they interviewed 207 plaintiffs' attorneys. And it's interesting to see like that it all comes down to trust. Like, what do you trust your law firm to do and take on in terms of AI? So where do you see it coming up most in your practice?
So
AI.
I think fortunately what happened at our firm is that, so me and another partner, we like this stuff, right? So like we kind of led the effort. We decided on Supio.
Yeah.
We brought it in. We were using it, but more of like, the original Supio was more of like a chat. You chatted against it. And then we sent one of our paralegals to the Supio sphere this past year.
That's awesome.
And she came back excited because they had announced Supio 2.0. And then I think we're fortunate because we have our paralegals, and especially one paralegal who has really taken on the role of learning it and then teaching all of us. I mean, she holds weekly Supio training sessions where we all get together and she goes through a whole chapter of this is,
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's
and
so
it,
cool.
and thankfully we have that because I really think that's an important component. If you're a law firm out there, there's probably somebody in your firm that likes this stuff, right? And especially if it's a paralegal that can really take on the role of learning it and teaching others, it's awesome. I mean, and Supio obviously teaches it, and our contact Christian is amazing. We have any issues, we have any problems, email Christian, gets taken care of.
So, I mean, they're super responsive. I mean, shout out to Carly. She's been amazing. So, and Jen and Niki and the whole team and Ryan. So what's one part of AI that has exceeded your expectations?
I think the ability what I like it for, I'm a visual person, and what Supio AI has been amazing and a game changer is being able to go through a lot of information and being able to visually like break it down into, like a chart, you know what I mean? Like a visual chart where it's a ton of information, but it organizes it and culls it down, and visually it's just so much easier to process.
Yeah.
Because we're dealing with cases with thousands and thousands of records. And,
Right.
yeah,
it's unbelievable.
thousands of pages of depositions, and it's unbelievable. So again, as a visual person, and I think most jurors expect now a visual presentation,
Right.
not just words.
Right.
I think it's going to change the way that we now present the information to the jury. It's going to make it a lot easier to do.
Well, we're here with Supio today, and can tell us about like your just general experience, like entering the AI world and working with Supio.
I mean, AI, obviously, I'm one of those conspiracy guys, so I'm wondering which company is really Skynet and when is Judgment Day. But, before then, we're going to enjoy the fruits of AI. And I would say our firm is one of the ones, that was really important to get involved with Supio when they, started up.
Yeah.
My partner, Larry Taylor, was an original investor in Supio, and he got us involved.
Wow.
And my paralegals love Supio.
Okay.
I mean, I use it, but they really use it.
Oh yeah. Oh hell yeah.
It's a game changer for
Right.
them
Right.
on a daily basis. They're able to be much more efficient and productive, get discovery out, get me for deposition.
Oh yeah.
Dissect expert reports, come up with briefs, arguments, things like that.
I mean, did you know Supio is also has an official partnership with Westlaw too, which is
I do.
That's pretty crazy. Like, I mean, you look
I
at
do.
Westlaw as like I'm a lawyer. Like, you look at Westlaw from like a lawyer, law student point of view, and you're like, wow, okay, like this is something I need to try, because legal research has been probably one of the biggest issues with AI, right? Like citing cases and
Right,
making
'cause-
sure you shepherdize everything.
Well,
and-
especially if you use OpenAI, it
Right.
hallucinates and
Sure.
comes up with cases that don't,
Yeah, that's-
don't even
I like that.
exist.
I like that.
Right.
Yeah.
And then,
yeah.
it'll cite a case that, was a dissenting opinion as a
Right,
majority.
right,
And,
right.
unless you have a pretty good fail-safe checklist, then you're going to get screwed.
So what's it like? I'm gonna just bounce around here.
Yeah.
What's it like carrying the legacy of like a Cochran firm, like living, like work, like being at a firm like that?
Sure. I mean, Johnny's legacy of civil rights and helping people who otherwise don't have a voice has resonated with our firm. We have a bunch of them around the country.
Yeah.
Like I said, we're one of the legacy firms. My partner, Larry Taylor, is very involved in the community. And, it's a real effort to make sure that those who need help are able to get it. And Johnny's, that's the legacy that we have. We're a personal injury firm, obviously.
It's amazing. Yeah.
Right. We do car wrecks and truck wrecks and motorcycle wrecks and slip and falls, but we also do mass torts as well.
Right.
Yeah.
So back to the Supio AI.
Of course.
So not that you said your law partner was a early investor or partner in Supio. So I don't know if you really know the other AI platforms, but what would you say differentiates Supio from anybody else? What is something that you're very impressed that it can do? Exceedingly discovery. Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, request for production, interrogatories, request for admissions. You can feed it pleadings and expert reports and depositions and say, hey, come up with 25 requests for admissions. They're going to box them in.
Yeah.
And it'll do great.
It's amazing. I know we have a very short timeline we were given. It's awesome to talk to you, Brian. Do you have any other things you'd like to add to our little session here?
Well, like you and I were talking about, so I have a podcast I do with 4 other trial lawyers who are all here in Chicago.
I love it.
Called the Sunday Morning Quarterbacks, or SMQBs. We started during COVID, and it's sports 90%, maybe law about 10%.
So you're a sports fan.
Whenever a nut.
Let's
I'm from Dallas.
Let's talk. Oh,
right. So yeah,
Cowboys fan. Huh?
But what's great about our podcast, and we just cut our 276 episode, is, and I understand that maybe that's kind of where you are in that space as well. But we have a guy from Dallas. That's me. We have a guy from Philly.
Yep.
Toby Milrod. We have a guy from D.C., Chris Nace. a guy from Richmond, but who grew up in Connecticut, and so he's a big New York fan. That's Mike Phelan. And then Patrick Meichler, I think might be on here in a minute, is from Tampa. So NFL
That's cool, man.
East is our sweet spot. We just bust each other all the time.
East?
Oh, yeah.
AFC? Oh, and
NFC
NFC East. Okay. so
Yeah. I mean, because, of course, we bust Philly more than anybody else.
I have a lot to say about all of this, but we can't do it right here. So hey, Brian, thanks, man. It's awesome to meet you. I'm gonna connect with you. We're gonna take a photo.
Sounds good.
Thank you, sir, for being here.
All right. Thank you.
All right.